For the next 30 minutes, we will explore the unexplained. From mysteries beyond our galaxy to ghostly phenomena in our own backyard, we will dive into our psychic abilities and explore everything from conspiracies to the just plain weird. Welcome to 30-odd minutes. If the truth is out there, we will find it. But only by sheer accident.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Welcome to 30-odd minutes. It's great to be here with you. I'm not actually Elvis Presley. I'm Jeff Belanger. Huh.
I thought you were Elvis Costello.
Okay. Huh. Not bad. How is everybody today? How are you, Oddballs? It's good to see you.
We're doing fine.
Wait a minute.
Oh.
That's usually Sarah and Andrew, but
What is it?
where's your... Oh.
I
Freddy
can't
Krueger
type in.
and Doctor Who, the Tom Baker years, I believe. Is that correct?
Correct.
All right.
The
well
fourth
done.
incarnation.
How are you guys feeling? It's Halloween season.
Oh, it's
Oh my gosh,
great.
best time of the year.
Love this time of year.
All right. Did you bring candy?
It should be year-round. Speaking of which, Christina, one of our biggest fans in the chat room, brought me Autumn Mix that I may or may not share with people. It is kind of big.
Well, thank you. We appreciate
we got love.
all the candy, all the toys, and the cash that you want to send us. We do appreciate it. It's great to have that stuff. Very good. Hey, all week long we ask you folks for your comments, your questions, your gripes, and you do send them to us at info@30oddminutes. You tell us about it on Twitter, on Facebook, and we appreciate it. We did get a few new emails and tweets this week. Sarah, do tell.
Yes, so we have a new station that picked us up. Matt Waters wrote us from Channel 15 at Roane State Community College in Tennessee.
All right, Tennessee.
So they're now playing us, yeah. So we got another little Oddling family. So
All right.
pretty exciting.
That's cool. We're on over 40 stations now across the United States. More coming on every day. If you'd like to carry the show, just email us. We're happy to give it to you for free. Because God knows no one would pay for this.
But they should.
Just saying. Okay, we've landed the mothership right here in the pumpkin patch, which is a great place to be because it's that time of year. Am I right?
Yes.
Halloween
Yeah.
is my favorite time of year. It's a time when we celebrate Samhain, when we carry on traditions with roots that go back millennia. It's a time when the ancient Celts believed the veil between the world of the living and the world of the dead was at its thinnest. But it's more than just trick-or-treating and dressing up. This time of year is pure magic on so many levels. It's a time when it's okay to scare and be scared, when ghosts and monsters truly come to life. Our guest tonight is just the person to take us through this strange Halloween journey. She's the author of numerous books, including A Halloween How-To, Halloween, an American Holiday and History, and her latest book, Halloween Nation, Behind the Scenes of America Fright Night. You've seen her on Nickelodeon, the History Channel, and tonight she's all yours, live in our studios, the Queen of Halloween. Please welcome Lesley Bannatyne. How are you? Yes. Welcome.
Thank you.
Have you ever been this close to a pumpkin patch?
No, and it's absolutely magnificent.
All right. Well, we appreciate this is a busy time of year. It's probably like being an accountant in April.
Yeah.
Because, folks like you are in demand.
Yes.
People want to know about this amazing holiday. When I was a child, growing up, the trick-or-treat time of year was about 2 weeks where they started putting up decorations, maybe a week, where the houses would put up decorations and things like that. Now we're starting to see in August.
Yeah.
And I say, folks, keep pushing. We'll get this to July if we keep trying.
Yeah.
So, but let's start at the very beginning. What are the very roots of this amazing holiday?
Well, you can go back a couple thousand years to, like you said in your intro, Samhain, which was, it means summer's end, and it was in Northwest Europe. It was the time when the herds came in from pastures and the tribes would gather together. And the only reason we know about it is because the Irish monks in medieval times wrote it down, and there were these great stories left behind. One of the main things that we found out is that it was a supernatural time. So people disappeared on this night. Monsters came out of fairy mounds. All sorts of weird things happened on Samhain.
Right. And so what did they do? I mean, were the people afraid of this day? Were they happy about it?
It was an important day. It was actually known as a time of peace and brotherhood between men, and it was an important time of the year. There were two of them, beginning of winter and the end of winter. So going into the dark season, this is the one that has most of this supernatural associations.
And of course in Europe, that time of year would be the harvest, the apples are ripe, the leaves are turning color, all the stuff that we associate with this wonderful, wonderful holiday. So, we're in a pumpkin patch, and which means we're probably in America, right?
That's right.
So
That's
talk
right.
about how it goes from this ancient Celtic, amazing time of magic to, here in America.
Oh,
It's not that
gosh.
old. That's what people don't realize. It doesn't go back all that
That's
long
right.
in America.
That's right. Halloween didn't really take shape in the United States until after the Civil War.
Right.
And there were three really important things that happened then. First of all was the Civil War itself. There were so many dead during the Civil War that just about every family had lost somebody. Not only were they dead, they didn't know if they were missing. So that's also, and I'm sure you know this, it's the time of our country's history where seances became popular
Sure.
and spiritualism became popular. People were desperate to know, my son, my husband, my brother, is he coming back? Is he in a hospital? Is he dead? So
Right.
this holiday that was a little bit ghostly was very attractive to the people at that time. The second thing was printing got really cheap.
Right.
And magazines and newspapers exploded. They're all looking for content. The third thing was this period, Victorians, they were fascinated with things that were exotic. And to them, Highland Scotland, which is where Halloween came from, was just about as exotic as Fiji or Borneo.
Sure.
So they were reading everything they could about it. So they started to throw Halloween-themed parties. It was intriguing.
Right. Well, before we get too far, we have to remember, too, that Halloween, it's called Halloween. That's a Roman Catholic thing, All
It
Hallows
is.
Eve.
It certainly is.
The day before All Souls Day. How did that come about?
The church put those two holidays, All Saints and All Souls, on November 1st and 2nd, and they do what they say. The saints is to honor all the saints, the souls is to commemorate the dead. Those holidays are about 1,000 years old, and so in all of the Catholic world, we have been looking to the dead at this time of year
Sure.
on those 2 days.
And of course, the Catholics have a long tradition of doing this. Christmas is close to Yule.
Yep.
Easter is
Right.
the fertility goddess Esther, of course, and
Right.
the coloring of the egg. So this isn't a new thing for the Catholic Church. It was, hey, there's this pagan holiday. Let's put ours right near it and bring them into the fold.
Exactly. It was an important time.
Right.
It was an important time, so it made sense to put important holidays at that time.
Right. When I start my religion, Christmas will be something. I mean, we'll think of it. Wings and Beer Day, I imagine. Something that gets it going.
Festivus.
So, okay, Festivus, right, for the rest of us. So, so what we've got now, we got this tradition. We've got the spirituals, like you said. The
Right.
Ouija board comes out in the
Right.
1890s, and
Right.
everybody's starting to think ghostly thoughts. But at
Right.
what point do we say, all right, let's go trick-or-treating?
Oh, much later. First of all, there were tricks.
Right.
And that was a huge part of Halloween, mostly through the early 20th century until it got out of hand. And homeowners were looking for something else to do. And probably moms, my guess is moms, started to bake things and make cookies and hand them out to kids in hopes that they could bribe them into not pulling tricks on their houses.
Right.
And it's almost like people had to be taught to trick or treat. It wasn't something that happened organically. You start seeing it in newspapers and magazines in the middle of the century. This is how you do it. Kids will come to your door, give them something.
Right.
And then cartoons started to pick it up. There's a Donald Duck trick-or-treat cartoon. There's an Ozzie and Harriet episode on television where they don't know what to do with the kids at the door, and so it's kind of like you give them something to eat. So it spread that way through TV, through newspaper articles, for little neighborhoods doing it until UNICEF came up with Trick-or-Treat for UNICEF.
Right.
That
You've
made
come to
that,
my door, you little
yeah.
monsters looking for cash.
Yes.
Yeah.
That put it coast to coast.
Right.
Because
okay.
at that point it was associated with charity and no one was going to turn down a trick-or-treater.
Right, gotcha. All right, very good. Well, we do have questions for you in our chat room. We have comments. We have aliens. Sarah, please.
Oh, really? Yeah, there was one, and I just lost it. But someone was asking about the traditional holiday that's like Halloween in the U.S., but in Germany. And I don't remember the name. I just lost the
St. Martin's
comment.
Day, Martin Mass.
That might be it.
It's
They wondered how
November
it
12th.
compares. How they're similar or how they compare is what they were wondering.
They are. I mean, I know a little about Martin Mass. It's another Catholic holiday that has a secular element to it. And I know Germans in this country, it's on November 12th. It's kind of the same time of year, so it may have the same source.
Right.
People dress up like witches and hand out apples, and kids go door to door. So it is very similar. There's a lot of trick-or-treat-like customs throughout the world.
What about some of the customs? Let's talk about things like the jack-o'-lantern. Sounds quite Irish.
Yeah.
Just saying. Jack-o'-lantern.
Yes.
I mean, I'm not a linguist, but
Yeah.
we can fake it.
The cool thing about that is that the jack-o'-lantern was first a light, foolish fire, swamp gas.
Right.
And that's what
All in there.
that's what they called jack-o'-lantern, because you could see it and then it would disappear. And so for a long time, that's all jack-o'-lanterns were. And then in this country, kids used to pull this trick, early 1800s, where they would take a pumpkin, carve a face into it, put it on the end of a stick, and float it in front of somebody's window late at night to
Right.
scare them. Because you saw it and then the kids would run away, that started to become called a jack-o'-lantern.
Sure.
And that's how you got the pumpkin jack-o'-lantern here in America, and then
Right. Pumpkins are plentiful here, not so
Yeah.
much in Ireland, at the time anyway.
Right.
And so, what about like things like bobbing for apples?
bobbing for apples. You see pictures of that way early, 1700s in
Sure.
Scotland, and
That's
I mean, it's a time of apples and nuts. It's the time of fortune telling.
Right.
So anything you can use to tell fortunes with, you're going to find that attached to Halloween.
And I had heard too, bobbing for apples. The first one up would be the next married that year. Those kinds of
Yes,
traditions.
yes, yeah. They were really interested in who they were going to marry and
Right.
when and
Well, I
how
would
soon.
imagine.
How soon?
Right. Yeah, because when we were, and now it's weird when I think about like in third grade, the teachers made us bob for apples because we shouldn't be married.
Yeah.
that age.
I think it lost that
Right.
association.
So what's interesting is you've got this whole tradition that stems around, like you said, it was getting tricky. People were pulling
Yeah.
pranks, getting destructive, and people are organizing. So give us treats. So really, this is extortion. I mean,
Basically.
yeah.
Basically.
Which is as American as you. Huh? We've got that. All right. What do you have a childhood memory of Halloween? Something where you said, "Oh, this is better than Christmas." I mean, who needs the tree and the fat man in the red suit?
I've always loved it, always.
Mm-hmm.
And so when I talk to people about Halloween and they tell me about their childhood Halloweens, I can totally get it. You know, it's running around after dark with a tail, you
Right.
know.
Yeah.
And I think it was the freedom of that that really put the bullet in it for me.
Sure.
Yeah.
Any specific memory you have of the?
I did get my first kiss on Halloween.
Aw.
I was 12.
12.
Yeah.
Aw, that's so cute.
I don't know who it was. He was dressed as Zorro.
It was Dracula. It was Frankenstein. That's
No,
it.
it
He was a
was.
monster. Wow. I'm surprised you can look back on it with a smile. Andrew Lake, how about you? How about a childhood memory of Halloween? Something you did.
Well, I was 7 years old. I nearly got my eye poked out going through the woods in my mummy costume. But that was a bad memory. But a little later in life, I actually myself fell in love at Halloween and had a really nice relationship for several years after that. It was a great Halloween party and it was quite a magical night for me.
What was her name?
Christine.
Christine, if you're still out there, call her. Sarah, what about you?
Well, in grade school, every year, like at least through first through third, there would always be like a Halloween party at the school, and like there was always like this witch, and it was always someone's parent usually that would come and dress up and be the witch, and it was my mom that did that for 3 years, and she did it like totally full on like green paint. Like the nails, she had like long dark hair, like she was awesome. Like everyone always thought she was like a real witch. She would actually scare some of the kids, like they'd go like running behind the desk. And I thought it was awesome because I knew it was my mom. So I was so proud of her. That was cool. That was like one of my best
We had a
memories
lady in
actually.
my neighborhood who used to do the same thing. Used to scare the heck out of
I
everybody.
loved it.
So
yeah.
listen, not to play the religion card, but the Mormons were on board with Halloween?
Yes, Mormons embrace Halloween.
Really?
We like our sugar. We ignore the roots of where it actually came from. And yeah.
You know what though? But that's the coolest thing about Halloween. You can ignore the roots of
Yeah.
where it came from.
I mean, it doesn't matter. It's
No.
it's such ancient history. People often source it back to like ancient history,
Yeah.
but it's really 150 odd years old.
Sure. Yeah,
in
yeah.
America, and I think the people, modern pagans celebrate it spiritually. And some conservative Christians celebrate it spiritually, keep All Hallows.
Sure.
And everybody kind of in the middle sees it as a secular holiday with
Right.
secular roots, actually.
Which is what's so cool because we collectively created it. You know,
right.
and each year we recreate it. It's different than last year.
Yes.
And there's traditions that we had as as children that we will pass on to our children, and they'll change it a little bit. We'll change it a little bit.
Yes.
And that's so cool. It's a legend. It's a great thing. I think when I was a kid, my sister and I lived in a neighborhood where we would take pillowcases, and in 3 hours we could hit a lot of houses and come back with pounds, more than you could carry. And so we'd spill it out on the floor and go through it like you're supposed to, because back then people were putting needles and things. And my parents taught us you should give half your candy to charity, to the poor kids in Bridgeport, where my dad worked, Bridgeport, Connecticut. And so they were teaching us charity year after year. We would even give away the Reese's peanut butter cups, even those.
That's
Selfless. St. Peter, are you listening? Huh?
That's
the
just
peanut
hard.
butter cups too. So we would give half our candy to the poor kids in Bridgeport. Went on year after year. My parents taught us charity. We helped others. It was wonderful. And then one year, I was in Bridgeport in early November, in my dad's office, and his bottom desk drawer was open. And I looked down, and I was taught a very valuable lesson about charity that night.
And parenting.
And that is some charities have quite a bit of overhead, like 100% in my dad's case. So you better believe I will be passing that tradition along. So, very well. I can't help it. Sarah, any more questions in the chat room?
No, although everyone has an ongoing commentary about what you're supposed to be. We have
What are you talking about?
Silverhawks, Freddie Mercury, Evil Knievel. They think you look like Billy Graham. I don't know. This is awesome. I'm a mobster, apparently. I don't know. Yeah, they're trying.
They don't recognize Elvis when they see him?
No,
The
dude, you
king?
need to put your face back on.
Or Freddy Krueger?
I'd put it on, but it gets very hot under here. All right, so the costumes, right? This is a growing industry. This isn't,
yes.
like we said, it used to be a week or two just 20, 30 years ago, and now it's turned into 6 weeks, 8 weeks that you see the retail stores putting out the decorations and things like that. So, when I was a kid, remember those little cheap plastic things with that rubber band that can't even count as a rubber band? You put it on and it would snap like the first night.
And it was hot and sweaty and fell off. And
now they're like $150 for kids' costumes, and they're amazing. In fact, they're so amazing. I totally skipped over this. Eric, it's not too late. I was in Austin this past weekend, and I had the opportunity to judge a zombie walk, which I can't recommend enough if you get the chance.
Absolutely. I'm right there with you.
Look at some of these photos, and so amazing, right? This is. I just clicked a few pictures of some of the zombies. There's one, and then there's me eating. There's a zombie baby eating itself, and our limo was right behind us. It was a hearse. How cool was that?
Nice.
And look at these people. So these are obviously they're going to Halloween costume shops, and this ain't cheap.
No.
These people aren't throwing this stuff together, and God bless them. They were really into it. The zombie walk. Those two creep me out to no end. I'm actually those may have actually been zombies. I'm not sure they were. I think they just showed up because they looked too real. But what is it about like becoming these evil monsters, these creatures? What is it that speaks to us on that level?
It's transgressive, it's freeing, it's whatever box you're in, this is the time to come out of it and just be, Halloween is kind of violent now, it's kind of graphic, it's extreme, but it's only one night. So, everybody can do that for a night. And it's actually really fun to do that for a night.
Sure.
In the hard, cold light of November 1st, you really can't be a marshmallow peep. No.
But you can always be a marshmallow peep. They're year-round.
And you know what's so cute too? Like I know with my daughter, and I'm God bless her, she's my girl. She's been doing Halloween since she was just a few months old, and had no say in what we dressed her up as. Each year, she's picked some horrible, dark creature. And I'm so proud of her for that.
Yeah.
Keep it up, little Sophie. We don't need you don't need to be. You can be a Disney princess 364 days a year. One day, I ask you to be evil and dark.
Yeah,
And
let it go.
Yeah.
We're not all good.
Eat brains for daddy.
Hello, we're right here. But that's the amazing thing is that we can. I was reading in your book. It might have been Garrison Keillor's essay where he was talking about we mock evil by
Right.
by moving closer
Right.
to it, by dressing up as devils
Yeah.
and ghouls and things like that. We can almost, it's a way to show power over it.
Exactly. You wrap your arms around it. You own it for this night. You are whoever you want to be, as nasty or as bad as that is.
Right, no, absolutely. And you sent us some photos, too. Let's take a look at some of these. You know,
Okay.
we've got giant pumpkin contests, which,
Unbelievable.
of course, evolve out of that. Look at those monsters.
You know, it wasn't very long ago that the biggest pumpkin was 300 pounds, and the winner last year was 1810.
Nice.
A smart car weighs 1,600 pounds.
Ah, bigger in America, baby. Let's see England do that. Nice. All right, we do have a question for you in our chat room. Sarah, do tell.
We do. Someone wants to know, is it the night before Halloween or the night of Halloween where supposedly more spirits are more likely to visit and it's more haunted, or whatnot?
Boy, that sounds like a question for you.
Well, you know, I mean, I believe the Celtics, and jump in anytime, believe that the veil thinned as it got closer to this day, it got thinner, and then thickened up, throughout the year. So it's probably not an exact line in the sand, but it was the
Right.
Samhain festival. And
So, yeah, that actually, more modern pagans actually believe that. I mean, when you go back to the Celtic mythology, it was just an important time and a time to be wary of what was ahead.
Right.
And yes, there was a supernatural element, but it wasn't the thinning veil that you hear about now.
Okay.
I mean, yes, the veil was thinner. Yes, people could walk in and out of that place.
Right.
But that's how we refer to it now, and I think it has a lot more to do with the dead. And modern pagans will take this night to remember people in their lives who have passed on. So I think for them, this is very much a night about the dead
Right.
coming back. But as for the ghost hunters and the investigators that I've talked to, and even mediums, they say the spirits appear at all times of year.
of course. and let me say, too, as a ghost guy, I know our dance card is full in October.
Yeah.
I mean, that's when the media wants to talk about
Yeah.
it. And a question that the media has asked me 100,000 times is, why are there so many more ghosts in October? And the pat answer is always, there aren't.
There aren't.
It's just that you want to talk about it in October, and we're
right.
happy to do so. We know we get center stage this month.
Yeah.
And then come November 1st, the phone stops ringing entirely,
Yeah.
It gets real quiet, and we get to go back to doing what we do the whole year
Exactly.
round. And so, yeah, of course not. But it gets center stage, and that's
It does.
really cool.
We think about ghosts, they might not
Right.
think about us more at this time, but we definitely think about that.
Exactly. And think about, too, like back with the Samhain, you've got the harvest.
Mm-hmm.
That is a supernatural time of year, because guess what? Something goes wrong with the harvest, you're dead.
Yes.
You're not going to make it through
It's
the winter.
an important time, yeah.
So offerings, of course, make sense. We've
Yes.
got this much food. It's got to last till the spring,
Mm-hmm.
or else. And so we take that for granted, in a
Right.
modern era where
Yeah.
you can get whatever you want at the grocery store any time of the year.
Right, and we're sure the sun's going to come back in the spring. Sometimes it wasn't
you
always
sure?
that case.
Because the 2012 thing,
yeah.
I guess we have one spring left. It's a whole other show. Let's just say this is a limited run on 30-odd minutes. We only have so long. No, but that's the thing that's so great about it. And then, how many other cultures have a Day of the Dead? Mexico, of course, has got its Day of the Dead.
Any country that had a Catholic past will have an All Souls Day celebration or something related to it, which is the Mexican Day of the Dead is a combination of Native American and Catholic
Right.
All Souls. So you'll find it in a lot of Catholic countries.
So tell us now, as we said, we reinvent this holiday every single year. Wonderful. What's it look like now? Your book, Halloween Nation,
Yeah.
you've got incredible photos of festivals and parades and things like that. What's it look like, the last few years?
It's kind of exploding, and it's really fun to be here while it's happening. I think some of the biggest things that made that happen were when Halloween and horror hooked up. Halloween was always spooky, but it was not always a horror holiday.
Right.
They released Frankenstein at Thanksgiving, right?
Sure.
The Exorcist came out at Christmas. It wasn't until John Carpenter's 1978 Halloween movie that put Halloween in the title as the theme and part of the plot point.
Right.
And then the holiday Halloween and the movie Halloween kind of married. And from that point on, Halloween's had a little bit more of a graphic, violent cast.
Sure, yeah.
However, it brought teenagers back to Halloween and young adults back to Halloween, and all the thousands and thousands of fans of horror became fans of Halloween, and the
Right.
holiday got much, much bigger.
Isn't it funny? Pop culture is, of course, we feed Hollywood. Hollywood feeds us. It's a symbiotic relationship. You can't
Yes.
blame one or the other. We're in this together.
Yeah.
And John Carpenter, of course, the
Yeah.
masks and everything.
Yeah.
And here's a trivia question that Andrew Lake no doubt will know. What was the mask in John Carpenter's Halloween?
It was William Shatner.
William
Yes,
Shatner.
William
I knew that
Shatner.
one
They
too.
were
Everyone-
kicking around
Yeah.
looking for a mask.
Of course I knew that one.
They did a mold of his face for a movie, and the mold
Right.
was the mask was just kicking around in some, locker room, and they just, hey, this looks pretty spooky. Let's use that.
Yeah, they liked it because it wasn't specific. It didn't look like anybody, and they wanted Mike Myers to be a blank slate, so you
Right.
could read your own. Also, what was the original title of that movie?
Ooh, got me on that.
Babysitter Murders. The
Halloween's a better
Babysit-
title.
Really?
Yeah, that doesn't roll off the tongue.
No.
Well done, Mr. Carpenter. Good thinking. All right, so what's going? I mean, what are some of the crazy festivals? You sent us
Yeah.
this bat photo. Check this out. This is obviously something that's big.
This is the Village Halloween Parade. It is the biggest single night event that happens in our country. It's 60,000 marchers,
Wow.
2 million spectators. Anyone with a costume can march in this parade. And they've never had a problem with all those
This
people.
New York City.
New York City.
Greenwich Village,
Yeah.
okay.
The police are a large part of this parade. They keep the barricades clear, and then they let costume people in
Right.
every few hundred feet or so. It's wonderful.
It's there is a magic to the night, and
Yeah,
you
yeah.
don't have to believe in the paranormal or whatever. Go to a place like Salem, Massachusetts,
Right.
whose population quadruples,
Yeah, yeah.
like on
Yeah.
that day, and you can't even get through. Sarah and Matt, have you guys? Sarah and Andrew, have you guys ever done Salem on Halloween? Or close
I
to it?
try to avoid it.
Yeah, I've stayed away from
I mean,
it.
it's awesome. It's awesome, but the whole world goes there for a good reason. But
Right.
yeah.
You know where it's at, Halloween? My house. Full-size candy bars, fog machine.
Oh,
We're all
good
there.
for you.
But that's the thing. It's the magic of the holiday. Like
Yeah.
it's in the kids' eyes. I remember
Oh, yeah.
as a kid running down the street to the neighbor who did the holiday up big and just being like, "Whoa, I'm actually a little bit nervous."
Yes.
And I've seen that same fear in some of my little
Yes.
neighbors' eyes. And
And it's exhilarating.
you're welcome.
It's exhilarating. I think good Halloween is like good theater. There's actors,
Yep.
there's lights, there's props, costumes.
Yep.
And if it's really good, there's this great catharsis that happens when you get a good scare and you get over it, and it's so
Right.
much fun. You have to go back and do it again.
We talked about zombies a little bit earlier. Let's show this last photo here, the zombie protest, because this is just my happy place photo. Ever since I saw it on the book. Whoop, there they are behind Andrew. And there we are, and there it is. Choose on life.
See, yes. Eating flesh is a civil right. See what's behind there, the Monroeville Mall?
Monroeville Mall, which is, of course, where?
George Romero filmed Dawn of the Dead. And the good old mall lets 2,000 zombies zom through it once a year on World Zombie Day.
Which
Cool.
is great. And
Yeah.
zombies, of course, very popular, a popular costume, and of course a commentary on American consumerism, but we don't really think about that. It's just
No.
become this great genre. We have actually run right up to the very end. I appreciate you coming in so
Thank
much,
you.
especially during
Thank you,
Halloween.
thank you.
Happy Samhain, happy Halloween. I hope
Thanks.
you're not abducted by ghosts.
Thank you.
May all your candy be needle and razor blade free.
Thank you.
And may we live to pass this amazing tradition on another day. Folks, send us your Halloween pictures. We're going to be back in a few weeks, and we want to see them and post them. So until next time, everybody, stay odd. Yeah. All right.